In this video, we're going to take a quick look at some of the forecasting and trend analysis capabilities in Power BI. So we'll use the global superstore sales data information that's available. It's something that it's kind of floating out there. So hopefully you have downloaded it, added your name to it. I'm going to go ahead and import that data from Excel. And I go to my downloads folder and see I have downloaded it here. I'll go ahead and open it up. I'll go ahead and select all three of these tables and or sheets. And because I don't need to do any transformation with this particular data set, it's pretty clean. I'm just going to go ahead and load it directly into Power BI. Okay, the data is now loaded. Relationships have been detected. And for our purposes, we're really only going to use the orders table. So the first thing we might want to take a look at is, okay, what is our profitability over time? So I will select profit. Power BI will build a report in the space for me. I'm going to go ahead and expand this. And then I want to work with order date. Now, instead of the entire date hierarchy, I just want the year and the month. So when I select those, my report updates, and I've got a bar chart here, I want a line chart. So I'm going to switch that to a line chart. And you can see right now I just have one data point per year. What I'll do is I'll click on this year axis title and just tell it to expand to the next level. And that's going to bring my years and months in. And so I've got a jagged line. Looks like I have an upward trend here. Okay. Now I could actually analyze this in my visualizations panel over here. I've got a set of tools for analytics. And the first one right here at the top, of course, is a trend line. So I can tell it to add a trend line. And here you can see I've got the trend line. I can change the color, have it match the color of the line chart, but it's fine in black for now. And I can see I've got a slight positive slope to this trend line. So the next thing I might want to do is go down here to forecast. And the forecast is real similar. I can just say add a forecast. And by default, it's going to add 10 data points for me. So in this case, that is months. So I've added 10 months to my line chart here. And those 10 months are a forecast. And I can actually change the confidence interval I want to have with that forecast line. If I want to, narrow it down and give me a lower confidence interval, I can do that. Now, one thing Power BI does here that you can see is it automatically detects seasonality to the data. So you can see that the new trend line actually kind of follows the pattern that you see in the previous years of data. So we're automatically adding some seasonality here, and that is just based on an analysis of the previous data in the timeline. Okay, so here we have forecasting in its most basic, and we're going to call this profit. So now let's go ahead and add a new tab. Well, first I have to commit my change to the tab name. I'll add a new report. And we'll do basically the same thing, only this time with sales. I will expand it to the next level again, and now I have sales by month. So you can see if I were just looking at it at the year level, and I can drill back up to where I was, I've got a pretty smooth line. I can expand it to the next level, and now I've got a more month-to-month line that shows the seasonality of my sales. So I can do the same thing here. Now that I've already put my forecast in, I can drill up. And now, of course, I'm forecasting 10 years into the future. I end up with more or less a straight line. So here, if I were to try and do that, let's see, I've got 10 data points. So if I were to expand 10 years into the future, 120 data points, I apply that. And you can see I end up getting that overall uphill slope still, but with the seasonality built into it month by month. And of course, if I have this expanded out to day by day, the seasonality will take that into account as well. So I'll put it back to the way it was, and we'll just leave it there for now. So I now have the same analysis for sales, and I'm going to add my forecast there as well. First a trend line, then a forecast. So here we have sales. Let's say we want to add a little bit more into this. So I'm going to replicate what I had before. So I'll do sales again, year, month. Make a line chart out of it, and we can expand to the next level. Now what I want to do is I want to show a different line for each order priority. How many regular orders do we get? How many that are high priority, low priority, etc. So I can just drag this into here, and now I get 4 data lines, 4 lines, one for each of my priority classifications. Now, when I go into analytics, I no longer have the forecast, but I can still create trend lines. So I can add a trend line. And as you can see, just like we had before, I have a single trend line that represents the entire sales. But if I want to create a separate trend line for each priority level, I can turn off combined series here, and that will give me a separate trend line for each of those priority categories. All right. So let's take a look. And so this is going to be sales and order priority. So let's do one final analysis. In this case, we're going to look at shipping costs. So let's take shipping cost, bring that in, make it a line chart. We'll add our year and month just like we have before. And then I will expand to the next level. So let's go ahead and do our trend line and forecast like we've done before. Here we can see that we are projecting the shipping costs to go down, much like they have in previous years at about the same time. Now, if we know that maybe this last quarter of 2015 is an anomaly, or if we haven't completed it yet, we can actually tell the forecast to ignore the last certain number of points. So I can tell it to, let's ignore the last 3 data points, and I'll make the forecast length now 13. When I apply that, I now have my actuals plus what I would have forecasted, ignoring those last 3 periods in my chart. So I can compare kind of a forecast with actuals here fairly readily. And you can see I still have the seasonality built into it, but it's not quite as pronounced as it was. All right, so we will change the name of this to shipping costs. And with that, you've seen how forecasting works in Power BI. We can do a file, save, and we'll give this one the name, first name, last name, Power BI forecast. All right, and you'll submit that file later on when you complete your assessment for this chapter. Hope this was informative, and we'll move on to the next topic now.